Hi, it's Webster Webb. I want to talk about the stimulus package that's just been passed by the Senate. In the United States, because I'm a Canadian citizen, but most of you will probably know, the process for getting things passed is the House of Representatives, who are elected every 2 years, has to pass anything to do with money. And so they have the control of the purse strings, it said. Then they pass it on to the Senate, who are a House of sober second thought, so to speak, and they put in some fine tuning. Typically, it goes back to the House. They either agree or fight, and then if they agree, they pass what the Senate amended it to be, and it goes on the President, who can pass or veto the bill. So in this case, the stimulus bill has been under a lot of fight because, for one thing, when the election occurred, and particularly the re-election in Georgia, the Democrats, including the president, were saying, "We're going to give you $2,000, for stimulus checks if you elect these Georgia senators," which would make the Senate equally under the control of the Republicans and Democrats. Actually, the Democrats, because the vice president counts as an extra senator for this process, and almost right away after they did elect Democrat senators for Georgia, the president said, "Oh no, we didn't really mean 2,000. We meant 1,400 because you already got 6. This is not what people believed. And really, you don't have to be an idiot to not understand that this is a breaking of a promise." Biden pretends like, "No, that's what I meant." But in truth, even his lovely wife knows that this is nonsense. Everyone knows it's nonsense. And everyone's just saying, "Oh, well, okay, well, maybe you could look at it that way." The truth is it's nonsense. So it's fundamentally a betrayal of the people you just asked to support you in a way they normally would not. And I think this is asking for trouble if you turn around right away and betray the promises you made. The other one that they made a promise was to raise the minimum wage to $15. And even then, you'd think that, well, $15 in 2021, that's hardly enough to live on. No, they didn't mean 2021. They meant 2025. It'll go from 7 to 9 to all that sort of stuff. It'll take some years before it gets in. So it's not that dramatic. And yet, as a betrayal, the thing that people they believed they would get when they voted the Democrats, they did not. So why is this happening? Well, the politics of the situation is that the president and the vice president, who follows the role of the lead of the president, decided to follow the wishes of the corporate sponsors, who are not all that much in favor of having the minimum wage increased by quite such a dramatic amount, even if people were starving on the old amount. They didn't really give a damn, did they? Anyway, so the president backed off. He said, "Oh, well, maybe we can't get it," and so on, which sent a signal to the senators. Now, the senators are a little bit more conservative, and they have a couple of senators who are Democrats, but really, they'd rather, if they can get away with voting with the Republicans, they would, as long as it can look like they have their heart in the right place, which they don't actually. So anyway, the bill got passed with $1,400 stimulus checks, already a betrayal of what was promised, and the $15 minimum wage spread over a number of years in the bill. It got to the Senate. The Senate decided to pull the provision for the $15 minimum wage, and then the head of the Budget Committee, which is Bernie Sanders, amended what the bill presented to the Senate to put the $15 increase back in, the minimum wage increase back in. And the senators, who only had to pass it by a simple majority, in other words, if the Democrats stood together, which they could have with the support of the president, they could have said, "Okay, we're going to do it. We're going to include the $15 because we promised the people, and we really would like to get reelected in 2022. But they didn't. So a couple of the senators, it turned out to be 8, but there's really 1 or 2 that were instrumental to breaking the dam, and they took it out. And so now Everyone's celebrating, oh, we got the bill passed. It just has to go back to the House of Representatives, who have to either accept or reject the changes, and they're already talking like they're going to accept it. They shouldn't. This is unbelievable. This is a betrayal. And to me, it's a betrayal not by the leadership, people like Joe Biden, because he was pretty clear. He was kind of under the thumb of the corporate sponsors who don't really give a shit if people don't have Medicare, going bankrupt to try and pay their medical bills, or dying because you don't have access to hospitals, or having to work 2 and 3 jobs and still can't buy a house. They don't care about that. But the people who worked hard, who went out and told electors, come out and vote for us and we'll get this for you, have now decided, rather than to put their votes on the line to say we're not going to support it if you don't provide this, decided instead to write a letter to the president saying, we really want to do this, we should be doing this, and are looking like they're going to simply pass it as is. It's a betrayal by the people that the voters trusted the most, and they will never trust the Democrats to tell the truth again. They may vote for them if the Republicans are so bad as they're looking like they might be in the next election. But my guess is the Republicans will find a way to pull themselves out of this. And the Democrats, once again, will give in to the most cruel people in their country, the corporate sponsors, and give in to their agenda. No health care for everyone. It's going to be simply, Medicare, medical insurance. There's a provision for a number of millions of dollars, I think it's maybe billions of dollars, to provide a subsidy for those who who are poor, to pay their medical insurance premium. This is in fact a subsidy for the insurance companies, not for the people who have to pay that money over to the insurance companies. It's the insurance companies are getting subsidized, not the people. And you don't care if people can't afford to live on their salaries. It's outrageous. I think the thing that's really going on is that even though people know, like Bernie Sanders has made a reputation over the past several years talking about how we have to get corporate money out of the sponsorship of the political parties, says it, knows it. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says the same thing, says it, knows it. But when it comes to putting their votes on the line to support what they believe, will not do it. They will say, well, we told them and they're not paying attention, so I guess we'll just get what we can. This is never going to result in the Democratic Party taking care of the people that they promised they would. It's time for them to stand up.